Hi there. I'm Lisa, here with a two-part advice video to help you with some tips to get the most out of your iPhone's daily battery charge. Some of these battery-saving tips are for those of you who don't use certain features that use power on your device, as most users do not use every feature on their phone. Also, if your battery is going flat, and you are not able to recharge it at that time, and you want to retain some charge until you're able to do so. We are not suggesting you use every single technique we mention, only the ones that apply to you, for example, adjusting app settings, or turning off notifications you never use. Some of these tips you will probably know, but there just might be some you don't. So let's begin with part 1. On every tip, for your convenience, you will see behind me a short how-to list for the menu settings you may need to use. So, first tip. Brightness. Adjust the screen brightness to around 3/4 to halfway. The screen will still be bright enough to see, even in relatively bright sunlight. You can also turn auto brightness to on, as doing this will use slightly less power in dark places. Disable Siri, Raise to Speak. To save some juice in the battery, turn off the Raise to Speak function for Siri, if you don't use it. This turns off the proximity sensor for this function, and puts less strain on the battery, while still having Siri still enabled. Here's an obvious one, but a power saver nonetheless. Turning your iPhone Bluetooth off when you are not using it. Bluetooth does use a fair amount of battery power, and if you have iOS 5 or above, it's now located on the main settings menu, and is now only a couple of screen presses to turn it on and off. Turn off your 3G or 4G. Doing this may sound like a strange thing to do on a smartphone, but consider this. An active 3G and 4G connection requires more power for faster internet speeds, but you can still access the internet using the slower standard Edge connection. Download speeds will be slower, but it will save considerable battery power. Also handy if you need to save emergency power when your battery is nearly dead, and you need your phone on. Another obvious one, but sometimes overlooked, is turning off Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is faster than 3G, but of course it's only available where there's a hotspot. Keeping Wi-Fi turned on at all times in hopes that an open hotspot will appear, is a sure way to drain your battery life. So, unless you're actively using it, it's best to keep the Wi-Fi turned off. On the flip side to having Wi-Fi switched off, where you have a good Wi-Fi connection, and you need to browse the net, that is the time to switch it on. This will now put less strain on the battery, as browsing and downloading will obviously be much quicker than using a cellular signal, thus saving on battery power, and of course, your data allowance. Adjust your location services. As handy as this feature is, like giving you exact driving directions, helping you find restaurants and more, these, like any service that sends data over a network, needs battery power to work. If you are not using location services, or you don't plan to right away, turn them off and save some power. Or, leave the apps you use location for on, and switch off the ones you don't. It's a waste of data allowance and battery power. In addition to location services, at the bottom of the screen, you will find a tab that says System Services. Turning off some of these options, like diagnostics and usage, location-based IADs, traffic, and, unless you're flying to a different country every other day, setting time zones, will all go towards helping save your battery charge, and are options you really won't notice, can easily live without, and won't affect your day-to-day usage. What you can see behind me is the system setting menu. This may differ slightly depending on what iOS you are running and what country you're in. By the way, if you don't use Apple Maps and you use the third-party Google Maps app instead, you can still get live traffic updates even if you have turned the traffic tab off, as the Google Maps app runs independently to the system settings. Next, turning push data off. As you have seen so far, accessing wireless networks, whether it's cellular or Wi-Fi, costs you battery life, so turning push data off for push notifications will also help reduce the number of times your phone connects to the network, and would extend your battery's life. With push data off, you can set your email to check periodically, or do it manually by simply opening up the mail apps. Setting your phone to check your iCloud or email accounts less often will help with the battery. Try checking your accounts every hour or manually. Manual checks means you'll never have email waiting for you on your phone, but you'll save a bit more power. And if you have multiple accounts, you can also select how individual accounts receive mail by pressing the Advanced tab on the Fetch New Data menu. A sometimes overlooked option is setting your iPhone to automatically go to sleep after a certain amount of time, using the feature known as Auto Lock. The sooner it's put to sleep, the less power is used to run the screen or other services. Try setting Auto Lock to 1 or 2 minutes, or even better, get into the habit of manually locking the phone yourself by quickly pressing the power button, instead of waiting for the screen to go off. Our next tip is close down your apps. As I have mentioned in previous videos, closing down your apps in the multitasking bar will not only save on battery power, but helps with the iPhone processor speed. And it's surprising how quickly the apps tray builds up, so check and clear it on a regular basis. Well, that's the end of part 1. In the next video, I will give you some more tips and advice on some settings and physical aspects, on getting a bit more charge time out of your iPhone battery, and an easy way to monitor your battery usage. I hope that so far you have found some of these tips useful, either for yourself, or for a friend. And if you have any more suggestions, please leave a comment, and don't forget to watch me in part 2. Bye for now.